All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. It's the Thursday edition of the show. And you know how we do it here. We'll take a look at trending sports stories. And we're coming down to the African Cup of Nations. A lot to talk about. And so today will not be here in the studio to do justice to some of the conversation that now. And and then the biggest was Real Madrid taking on the guys from the Etihad, Manchester City. They're 2-1 in favor of the visitors. And a lot of persons are beginning to ask questions. In Europe, how are the mighty falling?
It's a huge one, of course, for Pep. For them, looking at, of course, as now City are looking forward to, of course, qualify automatically, to the next round of the UEFA Champions League. And I think for me, it's actually, of course, a huge one for them. Haaland keep banging the goals. Yesterday, he scored a penalty. And we'll see Manchester City gradually coming back, or getting back their mojo from what we're seeing. They have to come back, of course, from that game, after Real Madrid, of course, took the lead. So huge performance and an impressive victory for Manchester City. But you take a look at it, City, they do not really look like that team that really command that fear, anymore. They're not a team that, any team want to challenge. So for me, I think Pep still has a lot of work to do, on that side, despite the fact that, yes, they are gradually, of course, grinding the results, for themselves. For Real Madrid, it's really been a very tough one, looking at the fact that they managed to win just 2 games, in out of 8 games played in all competition, just 2. It's a very, very disappointing one, as it stands. It's been 6 months since Xabi Alonso, of course, joined the side, and he joined them. I think that was before the FIFA Club World Cup. We saw them, being beaten. I think was it, Ahali of Saudi Arabia, and we saw that coming. We thought maybe it was Xabi Alonso just coming into the side that he was going to reinforce things, but things has not really been that easy, for Xabi Alonso. I think with the fact that he's now maybe focusing more on playing with Kylian Mbappe, possibly might be a reason why other players possibly are not living up to expectation. Vinicius Junior has not really been that Vinicius Junior, of course, we saw under Carlo Ancelotti anymore. We're not really seeing the team, of course, playing with that fighting spirit. Yes, they had a good performance to say against Manchester City, but you say this is Real Madrid. No matter how difficult it is,
It should be about the 3 points.
Grind out the result, no matter how it is. And yesterday they were even at home. That's even what makes it more painful. So for me, I think Xabi Alonso really have to look for a way, to see how to put things together. I think we saw this, in the last game they played in before the Champions League, the game against Celta Vigo. Celta Vigo beating Real Madrid. That was another abysmal performance, from them. So I think Xabi Alonso really have to do something to see how to take the team back to that competitive level, or else, he might be shown the exit door. It doesn't matter who he is, if he's a legend or whatever. I don't think Florentino Perez, of course, will want to accommodate that. What Real Madrid are after, they're after results. They're not after who is coming to build the team. Real Madrid are not a team that you want to build. All right, they are after results. We are ready. We get the right players, and we get the job done. And Xabi Alonso, this is not Bayer Leverkusen, where you say you want to start building for them to be strengthened, and then you start competing for titles. You have to hit the ground running, get the results, win the trophies. Of course, you know they're a Champions League side. So when they start having this level of abysmal performance in the Champions League, it might not really go well. So I just hope that the management of the team will give him time, and as well, not just giving him time. Xabi Alonso really have to step up and see how, of course, he can put things right, or else he might be shown the exit door. 6 months so far, and it has not really been impressive.
I remember when he came into the side, I played against Valencia, 4-0, thumping, and Real Madrid fans are already jubilating that, come on, the desire that they've been waiting for has come with the new blood. What he did with Leverkusen will be repeated even more here, because arguably Real Madrid is a big brand. But 6 months after then, like you said, the eye-opener was from the Al Hilal game. And they look at now what is happening. Madrid has never gone 8 games, winning just 2, at least not for recent memories. And after that game against Celta Vigo, it became very apparent that the board needs to do something. The likes of Florentino Perez, you know him, is a no-nonsense person, he's very business-minded. And Jose Sanchez, the sporting director, had a closed-door meeting and discovered that part of the problem might just be that he is not able to have the strong connection in the dressing room. So, like you mentioned earlier, the boys are not bringing out their best. Vinicius Junior was contending for the Ballon d'Or, before he came in. So one is wondering, what does having connection means? How do you connect with players to bring out their best? Could it be about tactics, or could it be about informal friendship that brings out the best? Let's take a look at Carlo Ancelotti. How did Carlo Ancelotti get the guys to play to win, the Champions League in his era? How did Zinedine Zidane get them to play? The other person also have accused him of not getting what they call the mental soundness from the boys. So I begin to ask, beyond tactics and issues in the team, is there a connection that coaches always apply to get the best? Is it that he's not doing it well? When he was with Leverkusen, how was he able to get the best from the likes of Victor Boniface? Why is it that Kylian Mbappe is getting the best and others are not delivering? These are the questions all of us are asking, because the board are wondering, is it about the dressing room, or is it about something else that they didn't know? Because his fate is already decided, but they just want to give him, okay, Madrid is not known for sacking coaches, except for the last coach that came in like that was a certain Lopetegui. Okay, who came into the side and got confused. You remember some time ago, we talked about it was Bimus, and Madrid had to sack him. That was the last coach that ever come to that side and didn't stay, to its fullest. So I'm asking, is it about tactics or the right connection in dressing room? And if it's connection, how do you want him to connect with players to get the best from them?
Talking about the connection, you need to grow from when you manage a team. I know Xabi is still new, of course, in the side, but as a coach, when you come into a team, your ambition should be growing beyond coaching to being a manager, in the team. What I mean by going beyond being a coach to being a manager, as a coach, you come into the side, you want to dish out the tactics, let the players, of course, adapt to it. All right, and be able to implement it on the pitch of play. That's you as a coach. But when you become a manager, all right, you and the players connect in terms of you give a sign, the players know what you're saying. All right, the players do not do well, of course, in a certain game. You know how to talk to that player to, of course, rekindle the confidence of that player. Once again, you do not go outside there to maybe start criticizing the player or saying or start benching the player just like that. All right. You know how to sack these players to make sure they bring out the best, in them. That's with being a manager. You manage the tactics on the pitch. You also manage the individual behavior of the players and get connected to. They see you as their fellow player, all right. But though they have that regard to you to be their manager, but they see you as their fellow player. Take a look at Arsenal Football Club, all right. The players flow with Mikel Arteta. Yes, they flow with him.
That's
very,
correct.
very well. He understands them, and the players, also understand him as well. You see that chemistry between Arteta and the players. And he actually, when he comes out to talk, he talks well about them, no matter the poor performance. Take a look at Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is a manager, all right? Even when Erling Haaland will miss penalty, even when he will miss a very vital goals, Pep will still come and say Haaland is the best. That's you are being a manager, know how to suck the best from your player, bring out the best, from them. And I think that's the thing that Xabi Alonso, of course, need to do. Carlo Ancelotti was like a father figure to these players at Real Madrid. He was like a father figure to them. So he brings all of them together, dish out the tactics, and then after then, they share one or two, and everybody will understand that this is the job. So that should be the goal. Nobody should feel neglected. Nobody should say, oh, it's because Kylian Mbappe is scoring the goal now. That's why he's doing this. I give it to Vinicius Junior now. He's not always doing this. If you take a look at it, somehow Jude Bellingham and Alexander-Arnold, they've no live in getting game time. All right, down there at Real Madrid. So you ask yourself, what could be the problem? Jude Bellingham, that was an integral player during the time of Carlo Ancelotti. What is really the issue? So these are things that you could look at and you see that Xabi Alonso has not been able to grow to see how to be a manager, to manage this team, to manage the players. That's why we're seeing these lapses. I don't know if the board will give him time to be able to do this from what the TV. No matter, yesterday, was it Vinicius Junior or Jude Bellingham came out to say the players are in support of the coach, but you never can tell what is going on internally. So I think Xabi needs to look for a way to put things right. Real Madrid is not a club where you come to say, oh yeah, I'm a legend, I'm this and that, and they will allow you. All right, I don't think any club wants to maybe accommodate poor results due to the fact that, oh, this person coaching the team is a legend. If it was to be so, Chelsea wouldn't have sacked Frank Lampard when he was, of course, coaching them and they were getting, poor results. So it is time for him to brace up. Good of the thing that I think they're even giving him more time, of course, to start at this point in time. But I think the next game will be against Alaves. If he doesn't prove himself, I tell you, he might be shown the exit door, because if they continue like this, it means they're not even in a good position to compete for the La Liga title with FC Barcelona. Barcelona are 4 points ahead of them at this point. So it will be really, really, dicey. And Barca won it last time, so winning it again ahead of them might just
somehow
be, somehow. So I just hope that he find a way to manage the team and try to get the best out of the players.
Some coaches have been, been pointed to take over from him if the inconsistency continues. Coaches like Jurgen Klopp, who is still under sabbatical leave. I don't know his motivation, whether he's going to come back, but Madrid is the biggest brand in football, so arguably when you want to talk about coaching, I think that he may not possibly say no. It all depends. Zinedine Zidane is also part of those persons that they're looking at. They're also looking at Marcelino. They're looking at Anthony Iraola, the man that coached Bournemouth, formerly coached Real Sociedad sometimes. And then also some of the big names you can never think of. Even the certain the man that formerly coached what's it called? Is it Crystal Palace or the other team? Yeah, Roberto Di Zerbi is also in the midst of those been pointed to take over the side. So I'm just wondering if, as good as Alonso was with Bayern Leverkusen, if he leaves the job, I'm just thinking, how denting this will be to his CV, and also the fact that they have to fill in the void. Look at the coaches available as it stands now. The person would think that Jurgen Klopp, but you can never tell about a man who is still on sabbatical.
The truth of the first of all, for Alonso, if he's being sacked, at the end of the day, it would be a huge dent on his CV. All right, a man who actually coached Bayer Leverkusen. I think he won about 2 trophies with them. Went about over 30 games unbeaten. All right, and at the end of the day, you were given a bigger opportunity, and you couldn't handle. It shows you're not up to the task. If you look at it, somehow Real Madrid is bigger than Xabi Alonso.
Not true.
He's unable to manage the team as he's supposed to. So it will be a huge dent, and big clubs possibly might not come for him. All right, he's a good coach, no doubt. But if you're given a bigger task and you cannot handle, then bigger teams might not come for you. Teams, let's say like Chelsea, maybe Manchester United, maybe Liverpool, that he was even, people were saying he will go down to coach Liverpool, maybe one day they might not come for you. And I think that's why you should try to see how to manage things up, at this point. But for the coaches on ground, I think Klopp or Zinedine Zidane will be a good replacement to stabilize Madrid Jurgen Klopp, particularly for me, Zidane will still do a good job, but Klopp coming back to Madrid, handling a team like Madrid, I think it would be another masterclass Real Madrid, of course, we'll be looking out for, because Jurgen Klopp, from what we saw, from what he did at Liverpool, all right, deciding to take a break, the man is a very good coach. Yeah, he's a very, very good coach. So if he handles a team like Real Madrid, I tell you, they will continue to win. They will continue where they stop in terms of winning the UEFA Champions League and maybe dominating the La Liga once again, because what the man is made up of. I don't know how to describe. Looking for what to describe him in club.
But it was also the way we talked about Pep when he also took sabbatical after his beautiful era with Barca. You know, and truly, it takes a whole lot for coaches to go on sabbatical. It takes your exceptionality, because except exceptional that even when he was on sabbatical, Pep was being given jobs and he still declined. You know, same thing happening to Jurgen Klopp now. Same thing to Zidane. Zidane is in sabbatical,
back,
and
if he decides to come out from sabbatical, I tell you, clubs will run after him, because they know that that's what it takes. Take a look at what he did with Liverpool. It took Liverpool, I think, 30 years for them to win the Premier League. It was still this same Jurgen Klopp, and winning the UEFA Champions League, setting up a good team for Ancelotti before he left. So for such a manager to handle Real Madrid that are very much intentional, I tell you, to be another one. That's why I said Klopp will be a good replacement. Zidane will also do a good job, but for me, I would prefer Jurgen Klopp possibly to take over the job if they might make that decision of letting Xabi Alonso go.
Okay, we'll get to see about Florentino Perez and the board. They are not very pleased with the happenings in the Real Madrid setup. We'll wait for decisions in the coming days, and maybe giving him more time to really test his footing, get to see the best that Alonso do have. But if he must stay in that job, then he needs to start looking at where the problem is coming from. Is it within? Is it about the dressing room? Is it about tactics? Xabi Alonso, the warning is very clear. You need to sit up, otherwise we'll be shown the exit door. I just hope that he stays a little longer with the side to build his identity and get an identity of play with the guys. You know, he's done a very good job with Bayer Leverkusen, and coming to that side, I actually would have wished, he stays a little bit. He stays longer than we are saying. All right, away from that, let's talk about Arsenal a little bit. And yesterday, I watched that game. Nuno Madueke scored a beautiful goal, very lovely goal, in the first half. And I felt that, come on, it was not, that goal came not the way Arsenal played. The first goal they scored in the first half, Club Brugge came in with their best. They were more attacking than Arsenal. Okay, but somehow Arsenal just had the experience, and unlike the Arsenal of the old, this Arsenal, they strike anytime and anything can happen. And look at the jelly yesterday. When I woke up from my sleep, I discovered it was 3-0. And I asked myself, Arsenal doing so well in Europe, but somehow stuttering, in the league this time around. And don't forget that when it comes to December period, December, January, that's the period that they used to lose. They withdraw from the league, and then the closing stage of April, May, you see them somehow have issues and they cannot continue. So, but this Arsenal seems to be different. They don't go on their losing streak, back. Somehow they have shown excellence when it comes to the Champions League. Topping, they have an invisible record in the Champions League as it stands now. What do you think is next for Arsenal? We talked about them a few days ago that they might continue with this one. But Club Brugge yesterday was a very strong challenge for them. How Arteta did it, like you said, it could only be one thing, the blend and the connection he has with the players.
Yeah, definitely. Arteta has been a very good manager in this Arsenal side for some time now. And you can take a look at it. Some of the players have been with him for some years now. So he has a very good understanding with these players. He's like he's a manager, of course, to the players. And that's what we saw yesterday. Taking a look at the fact that they're having defensive issues. I think two of their key defenders, talking about the likes of Gabriel Magalhaes and the other Saliba, of course, being injured. And that's why we saw that lapses against Aston Villa. Arsenal defense was not really that top-notch due to the absence of this key defender. But yesterday, we saw Arteta bringing in Norgard, of course, in the central defense, and he was able, of course, he lived up to expectation. And Arsenal, of course, were were good yesterday, in that defensive line. I think for me, you take a look at the fact that Arteta now has that, tactical ability of rotating the team. Even though when some of the key players are injured, he also has a way of rejigging teams and making it work. I think that's another thing that will help them this season from what of course we've seen at this point in time. So it was a very good display for Arsenal. I really wanted to see what they would do, because after losing to Aston Villa, I thought their morale was going to drop, because that's what always happened to Arsenal.
Yeah.
When they are winning and winning and winning, once they are being halted, you see them fumbling in the remaining games and you see them dropping points. But yesterday, they look like a team that is very determined, of course, to go forward and to achieve something very huge, as it stands. So, talking about what is at stake, I think it's for them to tighten their own in the Premier League, because the Premier League is getting much intense now. Manchester City are there, just a point difference between Arsenal. Aston Villa from nowhere, and now of course contending for the league from nowhere as it stands. So I just hope that Arteta will try most he can to see how he can continue to put up a very impressive performance, especially in the Premier League, because this is a title that has eluded them for almost 20 years now. All right, and if they can win this one, if Arteta can win this one, it will be a very, very huge journey. And for me, I think this is the season where he needs to win the Premier League. This is a season Liverpool are not informed.
No.
Manchester City not really informed to say. So I think they should capitalize on this season and try as much as they can to make sure they grab. The aim should be 3 points in any game, 3 points in all the games, 3 points, no matter where they find themselves, just 3 points. That should be their mantra, for this season. And for me, if they do that, I tell you, Arsenal will be in a very, very good position of winning the Premier League. Very impressive record in the UEFA Champions League. 6 games played, 6 games won so far. And I tell you could say possibly they might be, maybe UEFA Champions League contenders to say. But I know it's too early. But let's see how far they go.
Let's see how far truly they go. But then Ajax yesterday showed class. I was surprised with the result. Ajax have not been very fantastic. But yesterday they showed that they can travel away from home and get something against Karabakh FK. 4-2 it ended. For Ajax that have been dabbling here and there, one would think that they had at least a good result yesterday.
Yes, they had a good result. They've been very poor. I don't think they even stand a chance of qualifying through the playoffs, as as it stands, when it has to do with the league table. They were even, Karabakh took the lead, of course, in that encounter. They have to come back, and of course, rally around to score those goals. And I think for me, was a great comeback. But they really dropped, in terms of performance, especially in the UEFA Champions League.
The other Submarines of Villarreal lost at home there to FC Copenhagen 2-3, and the Athletic Club played a goalless draw with Paris Saint-Germain. For Paris Saint-Germain, a club like that to play a goalless draw, for me, it's surprising. It's not about the result. Anything can play a goalless draw, but I mean, Paris Saint-Germain playing a goalless draw, it's a little bit defending champions.
Yeah.
That shows how cagey. But I just think that the manager of the side somehow maybe just decided to take some leg out, and it was not an easy one for them yesterday.
Yes, I was surprised when I saw that result. I didn't really watch that game, but if you ask me, I will close my eye and tell you that Paris Saint-Germain will win Athletic Club. But
exactly.
It turns out to be...
although, if you look at the way Athletic Club plays in the La Liga Santander, there is this disparity when you get to play some, no surprise is why you get to see that even in the power rankings, the teams from the English Premier League and the La Liga Santander have strong advantage whenever they play. Somehow have disadvantage whenever they play teams from other leagues because of their input. So that superiority complex, naturally comes in. That's what I just saw in that particular one. Don't forget, away from home. So maybe that could have also, been part of it. But let's talk about the game between Bayern Leverkusen and Newcastle United. Yesterday on radio, we talked about it, and I was looking at, the records were the odds were against Newcastle anyway. But then Newcastle United too also did well, traveled away from home to a quick 2-2 draw against Bayern Leverkusen. In their last 5 meetings now, they've not been able to get a good result against a German team. Do you think that could have also prompted that result yesterday?
I think so, but when you take a look at it, so far so good. Newcastle United, they've not been that poor, in the UEFA Champions League. They are 12th on the table. So that means to say they have a chance of playing or qualifying to the next round via the playoffs. So for me, if you take a look at it, not a bad result, for Newcastle. This is a team that so many persons were like, oh, Isak is not there. Newcastle will struggle, but you see, they are trying as much as you can to churn out the result, and I think for me, I was a good one. Leverkusen took the lead, in that game. Newcastle have to come back to, of course, get that 2-2 draw, in that encounter. That should tell you that, they are very intentional side in the UEFA Champions League. Getting a point away from home, in the UEFA Champions League, it is something huge, of course, for Newcastle United. We just hope that, they continue to, of course, strengthen their own going forward in the competition.
Benfica yesterday, defeated Napoli in Porto. And if you look at this game critically, it drew a lot of attention towards me. Benfica are currently doing, they are struggling, but that win yesterday, they've only won one game out of 5 games played prior to that game yesterday. But they were able to win against Napoli, a high-flying side in the Serie A. And for Napoli themselves, they also have a very bad record because they are yet to win more than 2 games, in 6 games. And I begin to ask myself, could it be that they are putting more effort in the Serie A to defend the Serie A? Conte, we know, can be very clumsy when it comes to, whenever he fixes attention on one area, he does it. Or you think that the powers of Benfica really humbled, the guys from Italy yesterday?
First, Antonio Conte is not a Champions League coach. He's not, he's not really lucky when it comes to the Champions League or guiding a team in the UEFA Champions League. He has not been really that lucky to say, it's been, up and down performance, for him when it has to do with, of course, the Champions League. And that's how we're seeing this level of poor results, of course, for them in the UEFA Champions League. Even in the Italian Serie A as well, they're also trying as much as they can, of course, to keep up, to see how they can, of course, contend for the title once again. For Benfica, it has not been an easy one for them in the UEFA Champions League, since Jose Mourinho, of course, took over the side. It has not really been an easy one. I thought Mourinho coming to Benfica once again was going to really rejuvenate things. Probably, maybe you could say his 4th season, but can he put them, of course, in a very, very, good condition? If you take a look at it, they might not qualify to the next round, considering where they are, of course, on the Champions League, table. I think they're still 25th, on the table. So it might be a bit difficult for them to get to the next round of the competition, and that's a whole lot about Jose Mourinho. We're not seeing that spark again, from him, as a manager. That's tactical progress we used to see. He was at Fenerbahce, poor result as well. He was sacked, and now at Benfica, we're not still seeing that, spark. That should tell you that Jose Mourinho is gradually winding down tactically. Well, I believe he has what it takes maybe to improve. Football has evolved.
Could it be he's not evolving? Sometimes coaches, like we used to see here too, could it be that he's not going for further trainings, or he's not learning more, he's not being humble enough to learn and evolve himself, still basking on his past glories and all that?
So definitely, I think that's the case. The man, I don't think is really involving in his style of play. So good at putting up his defense to be very tight, but football has gone past you packing the box these days, and for me, I think Jesus should actually probably leave from what the likes of Pep and the likes of Mikel Arteta. He might be ahead of these guys when it comes to experience, when it comes to the number of years he has been in the game. He might be ahead, but you can just sit somewhere, take a look at what they're doing, pick it out to yourself, and improve. Not saying, oh, this is my style every year, this is my style every year, and it's not leading you somewhere. The football has evolved, especially the way Pep Guardiola has changed football. All right, the way he has changed the style of football these days. If you don't put your team in order, it might be difficult for you. And he's producing disciples. Enzo Maresca of Chelsea, Mikel Arteta, he's spreading them. So if these men are now on ground, and you are using your own water,
can be very difficult to win games,
Very difficult.
All right, let's move from that and let's take you through games to be expected in the Europa League, the second tier of club football in Europe. Dinamo Zagreb will take on Real Betis. FC Midtjylland versus Genk. FC Utrecht will take on Nottingham Forest. Those games should be on by now. Ferencváros will take on FC Rangers. Ludogorets versus Razgrad. Okay. And then FC PAOK. Nice will take on FC Braha. Sturm will take on FK Resta Belgrade. And then we'll get to see VfB Stuttgart versus Maccabi Tel Aviv. Young Boys will host Lille 8 p.m. And then Basel versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa comes to mind, and with their win against Arsenal, they should be very energized to go to Switzerland to get something.
I think Aston Villa have really improved. A few weeks ago, to say they were somewhere either 12th or 15th position in the Premier League, but Aston Villa are now contending for the league title now in the Premier League. That should tell you that Unai Emery, I tell you, the man has really improved. He has also improved the team every season. I think the last 2 or 3 seasons you always see Aston Villa contending, for the Premier League title, and I think for me it's been an impressive one. That's to tell you that Unai Emery is a fantastic coach, and looking at the fact that they find themselves in the Europa League, I think it's going to be another impressive one. They should see how they can fight and see if they can win, of course, the competition this time around. I believe they have what it takes. With the brilliance we're seeing from Unai Emery, I think Aston Villa have what it takes, of course, to go far in at the Europa League this season.
Aston Villa surely do have what it takes to go far, but then we'll get to see in the coming days. Fenerbahce will take on Celta Vigo, and then Celta Vigo will take on Bologna. Celtic versus AS Roma. AS Porto will battle Malmo FF, and FC SB from Romania will battle Feyenoord. Freiburg versus FC Salzburg. Lyon will take on Go Ahead Eagles. That reminds me of Super Eagles. And Panathinaikos versus Victoria Pleasant. And the Europa Conference League will also be staged tonight. 6:45. We'll see some of the games played. AK Lenaka with battle Hakin. Shamrock Rovers versus some of the names. I mean, can be very draggy. Spartan Prague will take on Kayova. And then Drita versus AZ Akma as it continues. Florentina will battle Dynamo Kiev. That one is a known name there, and then some other games to be expected. But then look at preparations ahead of this one. Crystal Palace will be on the showcase tonight in the Europa Conference League. For them, it looks like if you look at power rankings, not minding what will happen, they should be able to get to the next one and see that they can even push further to see they can climb this one. Chelsea did it some time ago, but you argue that Chelsea's pedigree and that of Crystal Palace are not at the same level.
Yeah, not at all. But we'll just see what Crystal Palace, of course, will bring to the table. Can they, of course, replicate that impressive run we saw from Chelsea? I don't think they have what it takes. Chelsea, they had good players, quality players. In fact, it was even nobody even really admired Chelsea play in the Conference League, because that is not where they should be competing. They should be talking about competing in the Premier League and the Champions League, but competing in the Conference League, for me, yes, so many persons celebrated the trophy, but it's something we all expected Chelsea to win, and of course they did that. But for Crystal Palace, I don't think they have that squad depth. I don't think they have those quality players that can go on with that impressive run we saw from Chelsea. But let's just see how far they go, if maybe they can also possibly put up that same run we saw from Chelsea in the Conference League.
I'll keep my finger crossed and hope to get you updated tomorrow, the result of some of the games played in the Europa League and the Conference League. Let's shift our attention now. Time is not our friend as we prepare to wrap up conversation this evening. Let's move straight now to the Nigerian Premier Football League. But before then, we're going to quick short break, and when we come back, we'll take you through the Nigerian Premier Football League, and then we'll talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. All right, welcome back from that break. For those joining us, it's still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Example is me, and I'm riding on here with Kinsley Emmanuel. We are bringing you up to speed with latest happening in the last 12 hours, and of course, trending stories, in the ever busy world of sports. It's time to talk the Nigeria Premier Football League now. Just before now, we saw the game between Rivers United and Plateau United played on. It's one of the rescheduled game. That game was played at the New Just Stadium. It ended 2-1 in favor of Rivers United. Rivers United look like a team that might possibly get to win this league this year, because when I look at all the teams, it look like they look like the only team that has a consistent result if you look at least in the last 5 matches.
Yes, of course. I think for me, that is what they should be looking out for at this point in time. Looking at the fact that they don't have a chance in the Champions League, CAF Champions League anymore, the effort should be on the Premier League. I think they're in a very good position of contending for the league now that we have the likes of Nasra United, Ikorodu City, trying to see how they can win it, because I know that they don't really have that strength. Possibly as the league goes by, Rivers United might just take up that dominance, once again. And I think for me, it's a very good season for them, looking at the fact that some of the big teams, Remo Stars, Enyimba Football Club, Enugu Rangers, they are not really performing very well. So it is a free season for Rivers United to capitalize on. And I think for me, if you take a look at the way they've been playing, they can get this one done. They still have about 2 games remain outstanding, 2 outstanding games. So if they can pick up 6 points from those 2 games, they have a very good opportunity of topping the league and staging that dominance as it stands. So for me, I think Rivers United have what it takes winning the league this season. They just have to score goals. Goal scoring has been their problem since the season got started, and I believe if they can correct that, the season will be theirs.
The season will be theirs. And still talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League, the argument as to whether they should go on break or not to go on break because of the African Cup of Nations is really eliciting some reactions.
What's the need of going on break when the players, in the national team are not coming from the league? All right. Yes. How many at the end of the day, when Eritrea brings out the 28-man list, the highest number of MPFL players you see there might be 2 or 3. So you have bulk of your player still in the league,
and then
so
you want to break.
Going on break. At the end of the day, you start complaining, oh, we're not meeting up with the European calendar, and all of that. You can't talk about the likes of Egypt, South Africa, maybe Morocco, because bulk of their players come from the league. They can go on break, but you're not, most of the players are not coming from the league. Why going on?
And they are hosting too. For Morocco, they are hosting this.
Yeah, they're hosting too. So for me, I think there's no need of going on break. They should just play, maybe go on Christmas break, come back and continue the league. The AFCON does not affect the MPFL.
So you give them a thumbs up on that one, the board?
Let them go ahead and play. No one needs of going on break. The players should just come and relax when they're supposed to be playing. Let them play.
After all, years back we have been clamoring that let's meet up the European calendar, and this is it right now. A lot of permutations about the goalkeeping challenge, but it is looking likely that subject to the unveiling of the list, and today I'm sure that NFF are just cooking it up, because I've been searching, I've not seen any update that the league, the list has been released.
I'm surprised. I don't know if they want to release this one in the
midnight. I woke up the last time to see the list released very early, the 52-man list, and people are not aware until So I think that maybe that's what they're doing to quell emotions and all that. So when you wake up tomorrow, you just get to see it, because they must release it today.
Yeah, they must release it. Today's deadline. So if they don't release it, it means that's another setback.
Yeah.
We might not play at the African Cup of Nations. So I don't know what is happening, but it's really, really unfortunate that they are making everybody to really anticipate the list. Why is this?
Somebody came out to say that.
Is it a strategy to boost their social media handle?
What's it called? An unofficial, an anonymous name came out to express that what the league is delaying. The list is delaying because of some people trying to force in names, people who belong to agent and all that, trying to get in.
Why is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be so? The coach is supposed to be the one to select his players. Players he feel can deliver the job, can do the job for him on the pitch of play. Not a certain NFF official who will sit down somewhere who does not really understand what tactics is in football. Will tell you pick this player just for a self-glory, so that he will sit down and watch the players. So my candidate is in the team. That doesn't make sense. And that's why we're going backward every time when it has to do with football, because the coach do not really come up with what is in his mind or what he wants to be done in the team. And that's why, what's his name, the former coach of Super Falcons of Nigeria, the white man, trying to round the
Denaby, okay, Wandro.
He was very angry with the NFL, especially the last time they wanted to go play, at the World Cup. They wanted to impose a play on him. The man was very angry with them. But this is Eric Chell. He's just being gentle, doesn't want to lose his job, doesn't want anything that will put him into trouble. Coaching the Super Eagles is a very big thing. All right, so I heard he came from MC Oran. He even took a pay cut to even join the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So it means a big job for him. So he might not really want to interfere with some of this team. But at the end of the day, it bounced back to him. They've given him a semi-final target. If he doesn't get to the semi-final, he will be sacked. But was this his fault? No. Players were imposed on him. So it is bad. But no, he's not taking our football elsewhere. And I don't know. That's why the other time, Bruno Labbadia, this is one of the reasons, of course, he didn't want to come and coach the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
That's correct.
Some of this thing, you impose players on your coach, you owe the coach, and you expect a white man or somebody who is very, very much versatile about to come and sit down and watch all of that. So it's very, very disappointing. I just hope that, see, it is funny, honestly. It's really, really funny. And I'm just looking at the list like, oh,
I'm wondering.
I'm looking at what
exactly what will not be. It is not what should not be a problem. It's not a problem because of the antics behind the scene, from the top officials.
Because of the anticipation of this list, you know that Nigerians will criticize this list a lot.
Big time.
They will talk about this list a lot, and with this might possibly bring tension heading down to the AFCON on the team and the coach. Honestly, because we're not putting ourselves on a very, very good state. Some countries are already in Morocco now, acclimatizing with the weather condition and getting ready. We were here talking about releasing 28.
I think that if that list had been released, some players suddenly would have come. Yes. Even if FIFA says 16th, some players blend with the club. Like Okoye has been released by his club, So I think that this list is another problem. Two players are not sure what is happening.
By this time, the list is supposed to be out, so that you know that, oh, my name is Dell. You
so
start preparing your mind for the AFCON. But the players are just on neutral base. They don't know if they are coming to the AFCON or not. Chukwueze might be there, Iwobi might be there. Is my name being the list? Will I head down to the AFCON? So they've not even conditioned their mind. Oh, I'll be at the AFCON. Let me prepare myself. We have about 9 days to the kickoff of the African Cup of Nations, and the list is not out. Players, do not have a clue if they will be, of course, be at the AFCON and all of that. So you tell me you want to go there and win the African Cup of Nations. How is that possible? No, tell me, how is it possible? You have Cape Verde, you have Morocco, you have Egypt, you have Senegal in this same competition, and you're delaying. I don't know what's happening, and I wonder how they want to perform. I'm telling you the truth. What is happening? I don't think Super Eagles will go far in this competition. I don't think they will really go far in this competition because this is not a very good one. And the thing is, some of our key players are injured. The other day we were talking about Nwabali being injured. Oh, who's going to be there? Maduko Koyoke. Olaoluwa Aina is injured. One of our best defenders, Benjamin Frederick, is injured. William Trusekon just retired.
Zaidu Sanusi is also...
So a whole lot of issues at this point in time. And the NFF, they're not trying to help matters. So it's really a troubling one. We look forward to see what the list will look like.
We look forward to see what the list will look like. And we cannot go without telling you that Nuno Madueke scored a brace yesterday in the game between Club Brugge to ensure that Arsenal won 3 goals to nil. And he's our sports extraordinaire. Madueke continues to show light, even if the other person feels that they don't have that much trust towards him in that snatch shirt.
They do. You just have to be consistent.
Consistent.
The 3 goals he has scored has been in the Champions League. He has not scored in the Premier League yet for Arsenal. So we just have to see Madueke. Anytime he comes up, he has to put up that impressive performance. If he wants to bench Saka, then he has to be scoring at least in every match day. Because that's the only thing that will give him that chance of maybe benching Saka because he's playing
the same wing
with Saka. So it's going to be a very tough one for Madueke. But Mikel Arteta knows what he's doing. He brings it on and he performs the magic. But what we need from him is consistency, and possibly he will be given that free role.
All right, and that does it today on Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television. Many thanks to Kinsley Emmanuel for his analytical views on today's edition of the show. Ekpo Temple is my name. We'll be back again tomorrow for more interesting show. Than until then, have it locked down. We're anticipating the Super Eagles 28-man list, and I tell you, by tomorrow morning, we'll bring you up to speed with how the names on that list. Have a beautiful time here on Atlantic Television Network. Go to the comment section and also let's get your thought on what you make of some of the things we have conversed here on today's edition of the show. It's one game, football without violence. Bye-bye.